Hey, welcome to the Three Geeks channel. My name is Jason, joined by my buddy Mike from McGTV. His link to his channel is at the bottom of this YouTube video, so just click, check it out, subscribe. It's some good stuff. So first, let's start off, Mike, by giving kind of our history with this show. Heroes, the first season of Heroes, I've said it on our podcast before, is, in my opinion, one of the greatest single seasons of television ever. By no means is Heroes one of my favorite shows, but the first season of Heroes I think it's a perfect season of TV, in my honest opinion. Then Heroes season 2 happens. And the one thing I will say about this show is every year they really came out strong with their season premieres, in my opinion. Like season 2 had a strong premiere, season 3 had a strong premiere, season 4 had a strong premiere, and Heroes is one of those shows that has good ideas, but they don't execute them correctly, or they forget about the good ideas and do something stupid, or whatever. And yeah, I did like Heroes season 4. I thought it started to pick up its pace a little bit, but season 3 was a train wreck. Season 2 was boring. Mike, you want to give us your quick history with this show?
I agree with you that season 1, I don't think it's flawless, but there's a reason why it's the only season I own. It's because it has the most rewatchability for me. I can still enjoy episodes from it. I like the pacing that was, for the most part, struck with the first season. Towards the end, when kind of the big showdown petered out a little bit, literally petered out, is when I was kind of like, okay, that's a bit of a letdown, but there was a lot of good moments from there from the beginning to the end of that season. But definitely, yeah, a lot of things really kind of worked against this show after season 1. Season 2 was in the middle of the writer's strike, so their episode quota was immediately halved, and so that's why you had 26 or 25 episodes in season 3 as opposed to just the 13 or so that we've come to expect from these shows typically. But yeah, a lot of things suffered after season 1. Characterizations greatly suffered. People started acting contrary to what had been established in the lore up until that point. Retcons galore with regards to it. The show never has gotten its own history straight. And I don't know, the more they tried to go for the more superheroic parts of the show, the less invested I became, which is weird, and which kind of, in a way, I feel works against this reinvigoration of the franchise with a miniseries. And we'll get to that when we get to our thoughts on the miniseries. But
yeah, we will, because is it a miniseries? So we're going to get into that too. So the show starts off 4 years after the events at the end of season 4, where Claire has outed herself as an evolved human, which is what they're calling them, Evos. And there's this big summit where Evos and humans are getting together. It's very Civil War, very Days of Future Past-esque. And there's a big explosion. Lots of people die. The Evos get blamed for the situation. Mohinder Suresh particularly is blamed as a terrorist involved with the attack. And that's really all you see of Mohinder or hear about him in this episode. So then, yeah, we fast forward a little bit. There is kind of like an AA meeting for Evos. Zachary Levi, let me pull up his character's name real quick. Luke Collins. You find out that his son was killed in the explosion, which, in my opinion, he was one of the strong suits of this episode. Anyway, yeah, you find out that his son was killed in the blast, and then him and his wife proceed to kill everybody in the room. Claire's dad has a run-in with some guy who looks like a guy I went to high school with, and you know who I'm talking about, Mike?
I think I have a pretty good idea who that is.
He kind of reminds HRG, like, look, man, something happened on the 13th, and HRG doesn't remember anything, certain aspects of that day. It's been wiped from his memory. He just somehow mysteriously survived, which I'm telling you right now, it's going to be Claire. She is the reason he lived through that. Anyway, so he finds a business card in one of his old books, which leads him to an eye doctor where the Haitian is, and it's some kind of front for some organization. The Haitian says, meet me across at the park bench. So he goes, they have a little meeting. The Haitian tries to kill him. He shoots the Haitian, and this is going to be spoilers, I'm sorry. And he's like, "What? Why were you trying to kill me?" And the Haitian's like, "Because if I ever saw you again, to kill you." And then besides HRG, that's all of the original Heroes cast we will see for the rest of this episode. And it leads him on an adventure which essentially gets him into the old Primatech building. So backwards a little bit, a kid escaped from the AA meeting. His name was Tommy.
Peter Parker.
Yeah, very Peter Parker. And he has an altercation with Luke Collins and his wife outside of the ice cream shop that he's trying to get a job at. And he teleports them somewhere, which we find out later is the basement of Primatech. And that's really all the summary I'm going to give you on this show. So I'm going to start real quick with my biggest pet peeve. Like, I didn't hate the show. I thought there was some redeeming things. I'm curious to see where it goes. I like the fact that they didn't blow their wad on the first episode like previous seasons. But the one thing that really got to me, I was really hoping 24 came back last year, I think. They did one season. That was it. They went off into the sunset. Maybe in 4 or 5 years they'll come back. They did a strong 12 episodes. Heroes Reborn starts with Volume 1, which means they don't plan on this being a miniseries. They plan on giving us more. So that was the first thing that like really irritated me in this episode, was knowing that this isn't kind of like a redemption for them. This is them really wanting to bring this show back to air. And NBC hasn't had anything really good in a long time. I think Law and Order really is the only thing that channel has. And even Law and Order doesn't get the kind of ratings that they should. So Mike, your thoughts?
For starters, the fact that they've been touting this as like a fresh, a clean slate, a reboot. You just hit the ground running with them, and there's no need to catch up. No, they got that wrong. You need to do your homework before watching this show. So they lied to you already off the bat, because you'll have no idea what's going on if you haven't seen the previous seasons. Really, like, I didn't really know half of what was happening, who they were referencing at certain points, because I'd forgotten. So I actually had to go back into like a wiki leak or a Wikipedia and look up like, who is this again? Oh, right. But so yeah, that's a lie straight out, is that you can't go into it just fresh. You have to have some idea of what took place before in the show, even though they're trying to separate themselves from the show by creating all new characters who are in no way supposed to be paralleling characters we've seen before. Like the Japanese girl who uses a sword, who can travel through a video game. That's not supposed to be representative of someone else who carried a sword who can travel through another realm or dimension. I don't know. It really kind of fell flat for me, and I think it's mostly just because it was a whole lot of who cares for me. That was the thing too. Is like, as someone who invested in that first season, I had no anchor in this. I thought it could be. I'm calling him Noah Bennett. I'm not calling him HRG. That's a stupid nickname.
I think it is too.
I thought he could be my anchor, but then I realized like he was never really my all-time favorite character on the show. He does own one of the all-time favorite episodes I like on that show, Company Man. Like, I do like that episode quite a bit, but I always liked Sylar. I was always more fascinated by the murkier characters. So like I like Sylar. I'm one of those few people who actually enjoyed what they did with what's his name, Parkman, the telepath. So that's about it. I never really gravitated towards Hero like everyone else did. He was always annoying to me. Claire could be okay at times, but she was way too whiny. So I'm kind of secretly hoping she doesn't show up. Like, I'm secretly hoping Nashville's schedule just kept her far away from this project, because first off, that's a big letdown to kind of be like, oh, the gravitas of killing off this character. Oh, wait, she's not dead, which even though it doesn't make sense because her character can't die, but again, it's already confusing. And here's kind of the main crux of this, is that my belief is that Tim Crane, the creator, wanted to come back to this miniseries and being like, well, some time has passed between the shitty end I had for this show. So maybe I can revitalize this franchise. Maybe I can get people interested again in this idea of ordinary people discovering they have superpowers. The problem is that that's not quite so eye-grabbing or eye-catching anymore the way it was in 2006. 2006, you got to have the context of this. 2006, there were barely any superhero TV shows on at that time. I think Smallville was probably the big one. Maybe Supernatural, but that's not really a superhero show. That's more like a horror themed show. Lost is more in the science fiction realm. And even during that year that Heroes came on, like I think that was probably one of Lost's weaker seasons, I believe. But in terms of superheroes in general, superhero movies in 2006 kind of blew. So people weren't getting the satisfaction of seeing big superheroic epics taking place on the big screen. So Heroes kind of arrived at just the right moment when we kind of needed to see something that was like what X-Men should have been, but ended up becoming X-Men The Last Stand. Like essentially everything they do is X-Men. Everything they're doing now in the reboot is X-Men. Like you mentioned, Days of Future Past and Civil War. So the audience wasn't spoiled by what would eventually become the superhero movies of today. So and also the superhero TV shows of today, because we got Arrow now, we got The Flash, we're gonna have Supergirl, which you saw and said it was okay, right?
I thought it was okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm one of the guys who like the weaker seasons of Smallville too, so you could take that with a grain of salt.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's a little bit more on the playing field now. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. directly addresses this idea of people with unique abilities and how they're dealt with. So it's kind of like there's nothing really, again, eye-catching about Heroes now, unless you're a diehard fan. And if you're a diehard fan, you gotta be honest, the last couple of seasons really tested you. And coming back to this, it just reminded me of those last couple of seasons. Nothing about this really felt like the first season to me. It felt like they went right into a very convoluted mystery right away, because I have no idea what the stakes are supposed to be. I have no idea, like, whatever this company this guy's looking into, am I supposed to be terrified of them? Am I supposed to be intrigued by what they're doing? Whatever that big hole thing up at the North Pole is, it's just a thing that's there to be like a mystery. They're trying to, I guess, be more Lost-like now as well, which the first season tried to do, but you felt kind of the gravity of that big world-ending event right at the gate with the fact that the guy sees an explosion in the first episode. You realize what the stake was: nuclear Armageddon. So, okay, that kind of puts a little bit more tension into the storytelling. When's it going to happen? When's this tragedy supposed to occur? Here, we're just kind of like, people are just going through their days, and it's not interesting. And the characters really aren't that interesting. And I can't invest in them because, honestly, we've seen their problems emulated before in the show by other people. Claire is a perfect parallel to that kid who teleports stuff. Like, that was her whole first season almost, even down to, like, the friends. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially, like you said, you mentioned the stuff going on in Japan with Miko and Ren. It's very Hero and Ando. Like, It is very parallel. And the whole going into a video game, I don't know how I feel about that. I thought it was kind of dumb, honestly. It's like they have a different guy writing each segment of this show. Like, I honestly thought the stuff with Noah Bennett was pretty strong in this first episode, but it's almost like Heroes Season 2, where they introduce you to all of these new characters, and you don't care about any of them because they're kind of boring, to be honest.
There was one new character that I was kind of interested in, and it's the luchador guy. That story actually is kind of like, this luchador who's an Evo and is like the Harriet Tubman of the Evos. He's like fighting for their rights and helping him literally in an underground railroad and stuff like that. And then he's killed, and then his brother, who, as far as I know, doesn't have powers, inherits his mantle and, tries to take his place as this public figure. That was kind of an interesting premise. But the thing is, I feel like they're going to have all these distant, storylines, and how they're going to eventually interconnect. We'll just have to wait and see. But honestly, I wouldn't have mind if this show had come back as an anthology show in a way. Like, let's not have just one interconnecting story from all these separate places. Let's see what this life of this luchador guy is in a post Evo and human world. Let's see what life is like for other people who have these powers. Just that would fascinate me more. I wouldn't have to be invested in an overall story. I would be invested from episode to episode because they would have a character arc within each episode. So I thought that would always be a more interesting premise than just coming back to, okay, these 10 to 13 some people have to gather together to combat yet another worldwide threat. That seems to happen every year almost. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, that happens in comic books and superhero movies too, but like I said, it's nothing really spectacular when you compare it to what threats superheroes on TV fight now.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but I can definitely see it going south. And it's just so unfortunate because I am a Heroes defender. Like I said, I did enjoy season 4 for the most part. They ripped off the whole Magneto Genosha story for that season. And Tim Cringe must just be a one-hit wonder because I watched a little bit of his other show, Touch, and, you know, I love Kiefer Sutherland, but that show was kind of boring, and I don't know. And I just have this really bad feeling, like she's in this video game and she's fighting to try to save somebody. I won't be surprised if that's somebody's hero, to be honest with you.
Here's my theory about that. I'm guessing she's like his daughter from the future because in all the promo stuff, it's future version of Hero, unless that's who he's supposed to be right now, but I'm guessing something about like he brought her from the future to live in the present, something because she's, I don't know. I'm guessing it's something dumb like that. But like
George
I said,
Takei.
yeah, let's bring him back. And here's the whole deal. It's like, you know, bringing back familiar faces to help anchor it. All that does really is remind me of like, oh, yeah, this show was good once, wasn't it? That's all it's reminding me of.
Good news, we haven't had anybody yet. I mean, we had the Haitian for 3.5 seconds, and then Noah Bennett's really the only other one. But yeah, like you said, I do like the Harriet Tubman character. I thought that was kind of cool, and I don't know how I feel about bringing Molly Walker back. I think it's too soon to really tell too much about that.
That's Clint Eastwood's daughter, I think, or niece or something.
I think so. And then Micah's coming back eventually, and we got Mohinder in the background. God. And
Micah, my least favorite out of everybody. That's the whole deal. Aside from probably Parkman, they're bringing back like everyone I utterly loathed on that show. Mohinder, I wasn't a fan of. I hated Micah. I thought that little kid was annoying as shit. And now he's full grown, and he'll be annoying as shit still. And Hero. I mean, here's the whole deal. If it's future Hero and he's like more stoic and serious from the looks of things, I'll probably tolerate it more. But
Nathan Petrelli was actually my least favorite character because, Jesus, like you said at the beginning of this thing, talk about a character inconsistent in the way he behaves.
Yeah. He got interesting in the 4th season. That's just because there was that whole battle in the mind type thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, he's bad, he's an ass, he's not. And they did the same thing to Sylar, in my opinion, one of the best villains ever on television. Mm-hmm. And they neutered him and just made his whole story arc. Season 2, his story arc was okay, but season 3, my God, that was so bad.
I have a theory about that too. Actually, I have a feeling because that was around the time that Star Trek was about to come out. So I have a feeling that was kind of a joint effort to kind of be like, dude, this guy can play heroic. Watch.
Oh my God, he's a Petrelli brother. That was so that's so horrible.
I called that a mile away. I'm like, yeah, there's no way that's true. And that's the whole deal. It's like half the stuff, that mystery they're gonna set up is just gonna fall flat because that's what happens with this show. Even in the first season, a lot of their mysteries kind of really kind of fell flat for me at the end. Like I said, the big finale just resulted in him punching him a couple of times and then they fly away. Wow, what an epic ending. But, you know, that's kind of the breaks. Like I said, here's the whole deal. I defend the first season of this show. Check out the first season. There's a lot of good standalone stuff in there. There's some nice, cool mini arcs in there that really work well. Check that out. It's got flaws, but it's like you said, it's pretty entertaining television. But I don't know. I don't know if I could recommend this miniseries to anyone who wasn't a diehard fan. If you're just going into it fresh, you're still going to have to do homework. You're still going to have to, you know, at least look up like what they're talking about some of the time. And I don't know if that's going to make your viewing experience any more enjoyable. than that. Because as someone who was familiar with the show to a certain degree, I just couldn't care about this. I didn't want to go into the viewing hating it. I just couldn't invest, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this review with you, because we're on different sides of this, kind of, but the same in some regards. But
okay, I'll keep watching just because that is kind of one of the benefits, I guess, is that it is only 13 episodes, so it isn't that big of a commitment, and they've already got 2 episodes down with that premiere, so I can weather 11 more. I feel if I'm weathering another season of Gotham, I can weather this.
Heroes Reborn or Gotham? Which one do you pick?
I mean, they're on different days, so I don't really have a choice in that. So, but
I just meant, which one do you think's better?
Honestly, Gotham at this point at least has me a little bit more interested, because that's something I haven't seen yet on superhero television, aside from maybe The Flash, is this idea of, I don't know if you've seen the premiere of Gotham or not, but the villain, like some guys hiring villains out of Arkham Asylum to kind of form a team and cause chaos. And hopefully that's something they can keep going for a good majority of the season and not just fizzle out. A lot of superhero shows do that, fizzle out. Like I said, at least The Flash kind of kept a good pace going for its first season. Like that, watch The Flash. That's good superhero storytelling.
Yeah, and join us here every week to discuss Heroes Reborn. I'm hoping it picks up. I'm hoping it goes somewhere, but you never know with this show. And like I said, this is the first season of Heroes, in my opinion. It didn't start off with a great premiere, which kind of leaves me hoping a little bit.
I will agree with you. Yeah, the premieres, at least of each season, were pretty big. Like I remember the premiere of the 4th season actually getting me like, oh, they're actually trying to get back to what they started. Like everyone's just living their lives and getting back to their routine, but still using their powers in cool ways. Like that was interesting. But yeah.
Well, if Tim Tim Kring really wants this show to go on, he should just be an executive producer, find somebody who's good at show running, let them run his show. He can collect checks in the background, and there you go.
I guess, yeah. I mean, showrunners these days, due to the fact that you've had success with one show, like that means anything can be probably greenlit. What's that? That Blind Spot or whatever?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Being run by like the Arrow guy. I heard that. I hear some not so great things about that. So it's not always a surefire formula. You can strike out with a flop here and there. Sometimes with the same premise or same franchise. So we're gonna do this weekly.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
Max is going to be doing Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. He has a lot more time than the rest of us, apparently. Philip is doing Blacklist, and Dan's doing Gotham, and I'm doing this because I was legitimately the only person in this world that was super excited for the show.
I'll join in on you because here's the whole deal. Heroes could very much change my mind if they get back to something that I can invest in. I might switch over sides to you. It just depends. I got no problem with the acting on the show. I like the acting on the show.
I'm more in the middle. Heroes kind of is actually, they're watching Once Upon a Time upstairs right now, and I have the same problem with that show that I do with Heroes, where the first season was actually pretty good, and then it's just the same thing recycled over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my whole deal. It's like if you're just gonna have a big crisis every season, then it kind of loses its luster. I mean, every superhero show does do that. Every genre television show, I feel, does do that, but they do it to varying degrees and they're very more effective. Like Angel, for example, had world-ending crises every season, but the way they went about executing them made them more intriguing than the previous season. It made you want to keep watching. It wasn't always just the same, like, it's some anomaly with an eclipse or something.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. And
no problem.
Check out Mike on the link below at Mike McGTV on YouTube, and check out all of our reviews that are coming this week and our podcast Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, which Mike will be on. So have a great night.